Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for March Comes in Like a Lion, chapter 181. When we last left our heroes, Rei and Hina kind of continued their conversation from the previous chapter, leading into sort of a really mature discussion of, like, boundaries. Rei admits that he would never, ever be unhappy to receive a text from her, and would, if he could, just drop everything the instant she texts. But they're both very conscious that's just super unhealthy. So they set some, like, good guidelines. And yeah, it's just really nice. Like I said many times in the past, I've never really been a Rei Hina shipper, but that's as close as I've ever been to being one. But then we cut to a really fun little aside with Shimada, as he kind of leaves the adults early so he can get home before Shigeta comes to his house to pout, and he fails. He arrives and Shigeta is already there. And it's fun, it's cute, not super important, but it's fun. Anyway, let's jump right on into chapter 181. As far as I can tell, there's no title. The newest Long Battle Volume 15, now on sale with great fanfare. I'm not quite sure what chapters that should cover. I'm not quite familiar with where the volumes are. But yeah, that's nice. There's a new volume out. The art, just from looking at it at a glance, seems to have Rei, Smith, and Shimada walking together. It's nice. Our cover picture here, thank you for the support for the 24th Cultural Media Arts Festival Manga Division Grand Prize winner. And it's Akari getting Momo a haircut as Hina looks on holding the cat, one of the cats. But instead, we open on a large manor with a bunch of, like, bells for different rooms. Living room, Harunobu, dining room, and hallway. That's right, it's the king, Harunobu Nikaidou. And we see him just sort of, like, sipping tea, all dainty-like. And you chews on a little, like, macaron, maybe. And he looks at it kind of, like, stunned. Delicious. It's like a real scone. I guess it's a scone, actually. And his butler, I'm delighted to hear it. These wonderful items are all thanks to the tireless efforts. Hold on, let me start over. These wonderful items are all thanks to the tireless efforts of Kikuchi-san, who works in the kitchen. And Harunobu turns to him. Hanaoka, please tell Kikuchi-san that it's all delicious. Oh, I'm sure Kikuchi-san will be overjoyed. Anyhow, Harunobu-sama, please take today to get plenty of rest. I don't know why Hanaoka's lines are giving me such trouble tonight. But anyway, Nikaido sort of smiles sadly. Thank you. And then his dog kind of, like, jumps up onto his lap and just sort of, like, pouts. Kyun, Kyururu. And Nikaido looks down at her. Elizabeth? And then he just plops onto the table. The dog looks out of Harunobu-sama. And then he sort of flashes back to the the previous night's match. I don't understand. How did that match end up like that? And we see, like, the image of him and Shigeta sort of as sumo wrestlers, and the raccoon and the beaver kind of growling at each other. Under the watchful gaze of Anija, who I love and respect, we examined ourselves and developed friendly rivalries to push each other to greater heights in the Shimada Study Group. And we see a flashback to, Rei and Shimada and Harunobu and Shigeta back at Shimada's house from way, way back in the day. With the possibility of going up against Kiriyama fueling our fires even more, the result of our constant pushing of each other was that we each clutched victory in groups 4, 5, and 6, respectively. And we see sort of the matchup that I made such a big deal over in the past, and the fact that whomever won among us will move on even further to go up against our beloved Anija with hopes of reaching the finals. It was like we were shouting out to the world from the rooftops, the Shimada Study Group is here! It was the best turn of events we could have hoped for, which is kind of a lot of what I've been touching on, and why I'm kind of suspecting that Umino is using this to sort of wrap up the series. Maybe, again, all speculation. I'm curious why Anija is left untranslated. I know from watching the anime and just Ani from, like, Aniki, that it's generally some type of older brother, but I don't quite know what the context that Anija adds onto it. Someone who's more familiar with Japanese, or perhaps is the translator, if you're watching, please feel free to provide a bit more context, because I don't know. Anyway. So he comes back to him and Shigeta as sumo wrestlers. He's like literally holding his head in shame. So why? Why did it end up with that sumo-style brute force exchange of thrusts? In that once-in-a-lifetime event for the Shimada Study Group, which was supposed to go down in history, you moved for a primitive central Hisha battle. That all-important moment, who on earth proposes going into a power battle that's pretty much free of any standard moves? So his gripe here is that they can't use any of their, like, special, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Upper class strategies? Civilized. The civilized strategies. And instead went for brute force. He wanted to use the civilized strategies to show the Shimada Study Group. Sorry, I'm just a little out of it tonight for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, we see in the image, in like the mental image, Nikaidou claps back at him. And why did I accept it? I don't even know. We haven't been able to get along in the past, but under the watch of our beloved Anisha, we built up a long record of head-to-head training together. Excuse me. And in recent years, we've reached the point where we acknowledge each other a little. That playstyle that is odious but utterly stubborn in its single-mindedness, with that unbreakable self-assurance and that unyielding spirit somewhere deep down. Bless me. All of that inspired me. But when I realized that deep down below that odious slapping of hands to confuse the opponent, there was a sort of irritated, lonely desperation towards the current state of the game, and a feeling of if I don't do something I'm going to lose, it led him to take that sink-or-swim strategy against him. Before I realized what I was doing, I had taken up his challenge. I'm hoping that, in my reading here, I'm not just sort of... I hope that I'm still being clear and legible, but there's just something about the writing here that really makes it feel like Harunobu's thoughts are just, like, going in a mile a minute, and I feel like my reading is sort of reflecting that. At that point, we had both declared, this is a battle I'm not going to lose, and that it wouldn't be an intelligent, sensible fight, but one where we had to beat the crap out of the other to claim victory. I'm curious how Nikaidou would kind of react if he was aware how much Kiriyama, like, looked up to that fight, and how he thought it was, like, kind of cool, and has given him all kinds of inspiration in his research. I don't know. And that was our answer to our comrades we walked together with for so long, who we had spent all those days with together. And we see another flashback of the Shimada Study Group, which I do really wish we had seen more of recently. I feel like it's been a really, really long time since we saw that quartet back at Shimada's house. Especially because that was, in many ways, sort of like the beginning of Rei's sort of pushing himself out of his depression. I mean, of course, the Kawamotos come first there, but this was also a really big early step in that. But anyway, after all that ranting, Harunobu just sort of sits there, like arms on the bed, Elizabeth still like jumping on his leg, and just Elizabeth starting to like cry. Wah, wahoo. And Harunobu looks down at her and sort of like pets her head. You're right, Elizabeth. I've got to look towards the future. What would really be rude is if the winner started moping. I've got to turn the rudder towards the next match with Kiriyama. Oh, I can't wait for that. Y'all know I can't wait for that. And towards my first official match with Anisha. And then, on to the light beyond that. And we cut to... So first of all, unfortunately for me, who loves Harunobu more than anyone else in this show, I don't think he will be having that first official match with Shimada just yet. But, anyway, we cut to Harunobu and Rei coming to the Shogi Association building. I think we're skipping ahead to their match. And Harunobu tells Rei, okay, what do you say we head in, Kiriyama? Right. And then we have the announcement. Everyone, it is now 10 o'clock. And Rei tells him, let's have a good game. Sente Kiriyama. The first move. 5-8 he. So the game begins. Their match has begun. And oh, and Ray is glowing. He is so excited to try out what he saw in the in the Harunobu Shigeta match. So how about you continue that whole thing, Central Hisha, that you did with Shigeta-kun the other day? And there's a subtitle that literally shows unclouded eyes pointing to Ray. And we see we see Harunobu as a son, just so angry he's literally glowing. No, seriously! Why is it that again? Nikaido rises into the sky and shines from the intense shock. What will happen next issue? And we cut to, right before the chapter ends, Shimada's place, where Hida Shigeta is just, like, still there. Hey, Shigeta, I think it's about time you got going. Seriously. To be continued. Okay, I loved this chapter. And not just, though admittedly largely just, but not just, because I'm a diehard Harunobu stan, first and foremost. He is undoubtedly the best character in the show, and I will die on that hill. But also it's just, like, it's nice to sort of have that, like, flashback to the earlier days of the Shimada Study Group. Like, that's a dynamic I sometimes kind of forget how much I miss until it's sort of brought back up again, and I'm like, God, those were the fucking days. Late season 1, that was it. That was my group. Mainly just because it kept Harunobu in the story, like, constantly. I love him so much. He's such a good boy. But I do really like seeing, what we saw of Shigeta and his reaction to the match with kind of, who really cares? I knew where I went wrong as soon as I went wrong. Let's just sort of out of sight, out of mind. It was what I did, and there's no really going over it. And Harunobu is the exact opposite stance. He's just sort of all in, like, panicking, like, holy shit, that's so embarrassing. This was supposed to be the moment where our group showed how sophisticated we were, how great our strategies were, and both of us just abandoned strategy as a concept altogether. God, that's so cringe. He's just like, that's so cringe. That's what it all kind of boils down to. And he doesn't quite see the nobility of it. Like, even I'm on page 7 now, the bottom of page 7, that big panel of Nikaidou on the top and the shogi board at the bottom. You can really easily see that as sort of like, see Umino choosing a bit more of a determined face for Nikaidou right there. But he looks like, even in that moment, he's like, why are we doing this? But he did do it. And he desperately wants to get that match out of his mind. And he wants his match with Kiriyama, his oldest rival, going back to the beginning of his shogi career, to be sophisticated in a way that Shigeta match was not. And Kiriyama wants nothing of the sort. He wants to have the exact same match that Shigeta had. And I can't wait to fucking see where this all goes. So the next chapter is in 5 weeks, because Young Animal, where Lion comes out, is a semi-monthly manga. It comes out every second and fourth Friday, and it's off the next second Friday for some reason. The whole magazine is, apparently. And this is we're in a 5 Friday month right now, and so it'll be another 5 weeks till we get to see the continuation of the long-awaited Kiriyama Nikaidou match. And honestly, I was kind of, maybe it's just me who cares about this match so much, sort of expected the beginning of the match to be this kind of, like, solemn cliffhanger. This is it, our big showdown. But no, it's just there for what's admittedly a better ending than the one I had in mind. But it's just, Nikaidou does not want to be doing what he's doing right now, but he's gonna do it. He has to do it. So yeah, this was great. I love this chapter. I love Nikaidou. He's my boy, and I'm really excited to see how the match plays out. What it's going to mean for their characters, especially, just to sort of see see Nikaido again. I've missed him so much. I love him so much. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. You know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!